Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining me again. My name is Russ Leteau, and I am on blogtalkradio.com. I am the founder of the Healing Center, and if you wish to find out more about myself or the things that we do, please feel free to visit our website at www.healingcenter.ca. This show is all about sharing what I've experienced and what I've learned along my journeys and along the way. And as such, they are my learnings, and they are my experiences, and in some cases, my opinions. Now, when you listen to this, and I'm hopeful that there will be some things that we'll talk about that will really strike a chord with you, and they will speak to you, and you'll just say, yeah, that's right. Or maybe it's even an answer to a question that you've had. And there's maybe going to be some other things you'll listen to me as I speak about, and it just won't click. And you know what? That's perfect too, because each one of us are at a different place on our own personal journeys. And one thing I know was very valuable for me, and I learned it fairly early on in my journey, and I'm very thankful for that, is that I actually really enjoyed listening and talking with people who I thought were like crack. And I would talk with them, and I'd listen to what they were saying, and I'm thinking, okay, if you say so, I'm just going to politely smile and back out of the room, And a couple of things, and a couple of reasons why I enjoy talking with people whose thoughts and opinions maybe don't exactly coincide with mine. First of all, I believe it's important that we do that. Because how are we going to expand and stretch our mind and learn new things if we don't allow ourselves to experience some of those things, which are maybe somewhat foreign to us, and maybe we don't necessarily agree with? Now, that doesn't mean that we just sort of accept them at face value, because, as I said, maybe at that point in time they just don't click for us, and that's just fine. And so I always enjoy that. I find it very stimulating to talk to people with different, as I said, opinions and viewpoints and that type of thing. And the other reason is, more often than not, I have to be honest with you folks, is in due course in time, I found myself thinking the way they did. So, yes. So throughout this show and the upcoming shows, as I said, I encourage you to listen in, and I appreciate you stopping in. And if you see something that sort of helps you along the way, or something that resonates with you, that's perfect. And if it doesn't, that's perfect too. All right. Thanks very much. The call-in numbers, if you wish to speak to me, I don't have in front of me now. I'm going to have to bring up my screen. There it is. The call-in number, if you wish to speak to me, is 347-327-9944. And it's Sunday evening at 10 o'clock, and I just have to see what date it is. It's October 26th. And thanks again for joining me. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about, and this will be a series, if you will, and we'll just see how many shows there are in this series, because the subject I'm going to talk about is our chakras, and I'll explain what those are in a minute. And the whole concept and philosophy of chakras is huge, and there are many books that are written about it, and I'm sure that I will be able to spend the rest of my journey in this lease vehicle called my body learning about them and learning new facets of it and new perspectives on them. I teach a lot about the chakras in the course of our Reiki certification training because they form a wonderful construct and model for helping us to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And by that I mean when we're speaking with the person, and I also tell my students that our quote-unquote client is not always somebody that's horizontal on the table for an hour. It could be somebody sitting across the coffee table from us. It could be the person that gives us a coffee. It could be the person that pumps our gas. It could be a coworker. there are always opportunities if we listen and we're aware and we're sensitive to those little inklings and directions inside us where we can speak into someone else's life and we can maybe offer them some assistance as they can with us as well. And so the chakras, as I said, provide for me, and I share this with my students, a really neat model that we can use to help us to see the big picture. And by that, we can be talking to somebody and they can be saying one thing and their outward behavior might even exhibit one thing. But if we listen and if we're aware, we know that there's more to the story, right? Okay, so first of all, chakra comes from an East Indian word, roughly translated means wheel of light or an intersection, an energy intersection is usually the definition that I will use for it. Now, we are very familiar with different aspects of our body that are based on energy or electricity, if you will. So, for instance, we have electricity that flows through our entire nervous system, right? We have brainwave activity, and we're able to measure that with different instruments, right? We have our heart activity with different cardiac instruments, and we're able to measure that. So it's not like we're totally unfamiliar with aspects of our body that are energetic or electromagnetic, if you will. And the chakras fit into that same area. Probably one of the other areas that maybe we're more familiar with is the healing methodology of acupuncture. So acupuncture works with 12 main meridians, and there's many other ones. It works with 12 main meridians, and meridians are energy circuits that flow throughout our body. And the philosophy, again, the layman's point of view, the philosophy of a meridian or our meridian system and why and how they work with it is as long as the energy is flowing smoothly and unrestricted, that when we enjoy healthfulness. But if there's a blockage, then that will manifest through into the physical. So what an acupuncturist does is they work with those blockages. And as they release the blockages, the energy flows, the quote-unquote electricity flows, if you will, and then we have that state of healthfulness. So our chakra systems are very similar to that. Okay? So we have 7 main chakras in our body. We have many more. Okay? But the 7 that I'm going to speak about, that this series will speak about, are the ones that are most common and the ones that most people agree upon. So I'll just give you a real quick geographical overview of them. Okay, so our first chakra is called the root chakra. So our root chakra is right at the very base of our tailbone. Okay, so just right at the very tip of our tailbone. And if we use the spine, I suppose, as a general guideline, and just flow up the spine. Now, does that mean that our chakra is this little ball that's somehow attached to our spine? No. Because when we're talking about, let's say a radio wave, right? A radio wave goes in all directions at all the same and at the same time, right? So when I talk about our chakra being located in our spine or at the very base of our spine, that's a geographical location that we can use. Okay? So the root chakra, right at the base of our tailbone, it has a color. So our 7 chakras have colors, and I'll just briefly go through the colors, and I'll talk a little bit more about them. It's a really interesting aspects that science is now validating about the colors, actually. So our root chakra, base of our tailbone, the color is red. Okay, so now we're going up to the second chakra.